10 years.
10 years.
10 years.
10 years.
10 years of the PCA.
Aces and kings, the winning.
A decade of aces.
Familiar faces. My greatest day.
I'll still have my say.
The hurt, the pain, the thrill, the fame.
And it's all about to start again.
PCA 10.
On the Paradise Isle.
Day one.
Eyes down, poker face on.
Lose to smile.
10 years.
10 years.
10 years.
10 years.
For the 10th time, we're in the Bahamas for the PokerStars.com PCA main event. Beautiful beaches, stunning sea life, and luxury lifestyle. No wonder Paradise Island still proves the perfect draw. The Atlantis Resort has welcomed 987 entries at $10,000 a pop. The winner will take home nearly $2 million, and vying for the title are the Poker Elite. Joined by stars of screen, sand traps, center court, and swimming pools. With such a big field, the opening day was split over two. On day 1A, Boris Becker just survived, while Sergio Garcia missed the cut. But still, plenty of big names waiting to tee off.
So here we go, day one of the 10th PCA main event. Inside, hundreds of players are taking their seats, all hoping to follow in the footsteps of Gus Hansen, ElkY, and last year's champ John DeBella.
Yeah, but what about Porya Nazari, or as I like to call him, Richia Nazari? But seriously, win the PCA, you're automatically entered into the pantheon of poker powerhouses. I mean, why else would I know the name Porya Nazari?
6 days of poker to be played, which means the better part of a week before we can etch a new name in the PCA history book.
You sure we can't make it 2 weeks? Take that as a no.
One name already etched in poker folklore, but not yet on this trophy, is Phil Ivey. Still hungry for success.
I love Atlantis. It's one of my favorite poker tournaments. It's one of the best tournaments of the year.
One name that is on the trophy is ElkY, looking to double up on his 2008 triumph.
Every time I come to the PCA, actually, I'm very excited because I had so much success there. And I think 13 is about time I win again at the PCA.
From Mr. PCA to Mr. Costanza, Seinfeld's former sidekick Jason Alexander is now looking for his own starring role.
What would it mean to win this event? Well, everybody would have to kiss my butt, wouldn't they?
And another newcomer hoping to make a big splash, Olympic legend Michael Phelps, now the new kid on the poker block.
I'm more relaxed, I think, at a poker table than I was in the pool. When I was in the pool, that was my job. Here, I'm kind of a new guy. I'm a newbie.
Well, Phelps eased into his first PCA with the helping hands of Mr. Esfandiari Sr., the father of one of his closest poker friends. Antonio himself was on the adjacent table to Phil Ivey, looking on as the world's most revered poker pro lived up to his billing by becoming the early chip leader. He set out his stall with the KO of Frank Casella. But that expression from Jason Alexander suggests his start was a little more stressful.
Phil Ivey on the phone with his lawyers to see if he can get out of being on the feature table. Nope. He's coming back from a break with this guy, Daniel Negreanu, who's on our secondary feature table.
How about Kobe following you on Twitter? How about Kobe following you on Twitter?
Yeah, I saw that the other day.
Lots of Phelps fans in the poker world, including Phil Hellmuth Jr., who just wants everyone to know that Michael Phelps is his friend. So we got Negreanu at the secondary feature, Ivey at the feature table, and ElkY. This is going to be so awesome, you'll probably go blind.
Obviously, ElkY and Ivey are headlining, but we've also got David Berstein, who made the final table of the PCA main event last year, and Simon Charette, who went deep in EPT Barcelona last season. Plus a few empty seats waiting to be filled, with the blinds at 100-200. And we have an early position raise from Henrik Olberding, flattered by ElkY.
What's that? I feel like I can't protect my cards in this seat. It's really bad.
Phil's such a baller, even his cards need their own bodyguard.
He's called on the button. The blinds are both folded. We're going three-way to the flop.
And Ivey's made this call for 3 reasons. 1, he's got a huge stack. 2, he's in position. 3, he's Phil Ivey.
Ivey flops second pair, plus a straight and a flush draw. Olberding with ace high and a 10 high flush draw continues. ElkY with the overpair calls, and Ivey comes along for the ride again.
I like the flop bet a lot.
4 of diamonds on the turn, changes nothing.
It's a pretty good card for ElkY. It's an undercard and none of the obvious draws got there.
Olberding slows down, he checks. ElkY takes over, betting 2,700.
Protecting what he believes to be the best hand for now. Phil's got a pair and a draw, which you'd think is awesome, but in a case like this, you're never really sure if you want to hit your hand. Lots of potential dirty outs if you're not drawing dead already.
Phil looks back at his cards and folds.
Yeah, you don't want to play a ton of guessing games when you're super deep.
And Olberding, he gives it up as well.
Nice hand for ElkY. I'm sure he's happy to take that down without seeing a river card.
ElkY's PCA did not get off to a great start. He was denied the Triple Crown. Here is our Super High Roller champion.
Scott Seaver just won $2 million. Why does it look like he just came in from scouring the beach with a metal detector?
Hello, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
The guy who bubbled the Super High Roller, Antonio Esfandiari, is already out of this event. A magician never reveals his secret or how much of a percentage of himself he actually had in the one drop.
All right, good luck, boys. See how my horse is doing.
It's a terrible way to refer to your girlfriend.
I think he was talking about Michael Phelps.
He's a swimmer, not a runner. Jason Alexander not having the best day. George is getting a little upset. Too bad the line wasn't "these chips are making me thirsty."
You win the one drop.
Yeah, it was really weird. I really wasn't trying to raise. Like, I was just trying to get something going.
Trying to get it. You can't do it. You just can't do it.
Antonio technically having a terrible 2013.
At our secondary feature table, Chris Oliver has raised to 450 with ace-queen suited. Negreanu calls from the cutoff with pocket tens. And Eric Cagelet has queens on the button.
You'd expect a 3-bet here in position. He doesn't have bullets, but he's got guns.
He makes it 1250. Looks like both blinds have folded. And Oliver will pass his ace-queen.
Daniel's not folding.
Sure enough, he calls, heads up to the flop. Ace-10-6, a set for Negreanu.
A C-bet here is pretty standard. Not going to work out too well for him, though. Although my guess is he works out very well.
The ace on the flop may save him from losing too much. He bets 2,000. And Negreanu will check raise to 4,200.
Pretty small check raise, maybe a little weird. He could just want to induce air to float him.
Cagelet calls. 7 on the turn is a blank. Negreanu checks. Cagelet checks behind.
Slows down.
Board pairs on the river. Negreanu improves to a full house. He checks.
Daniel going for the second check raise of the hand.
Cagelet checks behind.
Plays it safe, like having a spotter on the bench press.
Negreanu now up to over 40k in chips. So back to our feature table where we have a few new faces. Action is on Graydon Cowall.
Well, this will be a little loose raise under the gun.
It's a limp under the gun, a move in poker known as the Gibbons.
Yes, I love the Gibbons. Although this could induce more limping than a shin-kicking contest.
Olberding has flattered with 9-10 suited. Ivy calls with Jack-8 suited. Simon Charette has Jack-10 off on the button. He calls. Caicedo has Ace-King.
1,200.
And he will raise to 1,200.
Honestly, checking's fine there. If you're gonna raise, you should raise big-ish, and that's not enough.
Cowall has folded, so we're not going to see the double Gibbons. We do get a call from Olberding and from Ivy. Charette gets out of the way, 3-way to the flop.
Caicedo does have the best hand, but when you take this flop multi-ways...
A flush draw for Olberding. Ivy with top pair. Caicedo checks. Olberding bets 1,500.
Well, the good news is Caicedo can't get into too much trouble. Barely even has a backdoor.
Oh.
Ivy calls. Caicedo calls.
This is a very not good call.
The turn card is the 3 of clubs, giving Ivy a flush draw to go with his pair. Olberding fires again. 3,000. Ivy calls, and Caicedo finally folds.
There we go. Olberding still semi-bluffing. Ivy still just calling with the best hand. Just fine.
7 of spades on the river. And it goes check, check.
Olberding gives up, and Ivy can't value bet top pair, no kicker. Oh, Phil Ivey, you are good at tip pokers. And Olberding couldn't Olber-bink. Sorry.
Ivy consolidates his position at the top of the leaderboard. playing a stack of more than 109,000. So Ivey off to a great start in the PCA main event. Do you think he's still the best in the business? Let us know your thoughts. Type your tweets, PCA 10.
The answer is yes. You can have like 100 characters left over.
Well, his record speaks for itself. An estimated net worth of $100 million, 8 World Series bracelets. Now, eclipsing Phil Hellmuth's 13 bracelet haul is Ivey's target.
There's a huge opportunity to win a lot of events at the World Series of Poker. You know, Phil has 13 bracelets. He had a pretty big head start. He started a lot of years before me. There's an opportunity to catch him. I mean, you just have to, just take it one tournament at a time, and you put together a couple wins. I think there's a good opportunity to win multiple bracelets on any given year. And time will tell. As long as I'm healthy and I'm able to keep playing, I think that one day I will be able to catch him.
Speaking of Hellmuth, where the heck is he? He showed up 8 hours late to the super high roller, and in 30 minutes he dropped $100,000 and twice as many names.
No luck at all here.
This is the guy who denied Ivey his 9th bracelet. Andy Frankenberger beat Ivey heads up. I know, I can hardly believe it either.
Line's still 100-200. Action on our feature table has been folded to Phil Ivey. Queen Jack off, and he's raising. Makes it 500 to play.
Sorry.
David Berstein apologizing for his aggressive fold. Daniel Osvaldo Adez is going set mining with deuces. And looks like Henrik Olberding will do the same with his pocket eights.
Yep, still eights.
6-10-9 flop. Ivey's up and down. And he continues for 1,000.
Ivey and Olberding likely to like their hands.
Dez has got out of the way. Olberding will call the bet. Board pairs on the turn.
Doesn't get any worse for 2 8s.
Olberding checks a second time. And Ivey checks behind.
Did he just check with his eyes?
Cool. Queen on the river. Ivey binks. And he value bets 2,500.
He'd probably fire this pretty wide.
Olberding calls.
That's a spot that could have gone either way, but he was wrong.
Pair of queens is good. Ship more chips to Ivey.
You can't spell rivery without Ivey. Huh?
Ivey continues to own souls at the PCA 10 main event. The action continues after the break.
It is pretty cool that we get to come here on somebody else's dime. This is our jobs. I mean, that's something to be grateful for.
January in the Bahamas. Nice.
Yeah, not bad at all. I was thinking that while we're here, we could go looking for some booty.
Pirate booty.
No, not nearly that old. I'm thinking maybe like aged 18 to 40.
I should have guessed you were going in that kind of direction.
47-ish, maybe like a good-looking 50 possibly. But no, seriously, James, there's like a lot of activities here we could do.
So back to the action on day 1B of the PokerStars.com PCA 10 main event in the Bahamas. Or should that be lack of action? Phil Hellmuth is still to appear. At least he's keeping us in the loop.
Well, now I know why the poker brat hasn't been very bratty lately. It's from all that napping. Oh, look at little Daniel. Precious. Maybe him and Phil can do a little napsies together. Now, as for the other Phil, Ivey, he actually doesn't sleep. He pays a guy to do it for him.
Ivey, one of the players headlining our feature table.
You don't have your own power bar? Yeah?
Yeah.
What kind of a superstar are you?
Well,
Not an Ivey power bar. Infomercial. With a blender. Every box of...
That sounds like me. I should do that. Hook it up.
No? The Ivey power bar?
Make it happen.
I've got the slogan for the Phil Ivey bar. Caution, this product may contain the nuts.
I don't get why it comes with a blender.
Yeah, I don't know either.
There's been a limp from Caicedo. ElkY's raised with the ace-jack.
I'm about as big a fan of this limp as when people try to do it to get better parking. Early position, ugh.
Every box of power bars you get a blender with.
Yeah, you might want to check your business model on that.
And then you can come up with your own recipe book for power bar, blender, recipe.
Man.
We might be onto something.
Is no one going to tell this guy what a terrible idea this is?
Caicedo has flopped a set of threes. He calls ElkY's continuation bet.
trying to set the tarp, but I talked to some kids and they say tarps are old news, yo.
ElkY picks up an up and down straight draw on the turn, but he doesn't bet it.
Tarps are so old news.
And he pairs his jack on the river. Caicedo checks his set again.
So who out there thinks Marco got max value for his set? Anyone?
ElkY bets 1,150.
Now Caicedo's in a weird spot with a 4-card straight where he can't raise and he has to call.
Luckily for him, his set of threes are still good.
Could have been a lot worse for ElkY.
ElkY's still playing a short stack and struggling to recapture the form that landed him his main event title here at the PCA.
My favorite PCA memory is definitely when I won the main event in 2008.
Champion, his name, ElkY.
It was like, it kind of turned my career around, and it was my first big victory, so the first times are always like the best. It felt so amazing to win, especially this tournament. EPT was the most of qualifiers, so it felt really amazing to win there, yeah.
So that's why they call him Mr. PCA. I just now got that.
Over to the secondary feature table, where the runner-up of the 2011 PCA main event is also struggling.
Okay, so which one is it?
This guy, Chris Oliver.
Huh.
He's facing a bet on the turn of 2,100.
He's got a nice disguised little double gutter there.
He calls. Julius Coleman decides it's time to fold bottom pair. Oliver doesn't get there on the river. Underwood's top pair still good, but he checks.
I think he's going to miss out on some value long-term by checking in that spot.
And Oliver shoves the river for more than 17K. A huge overbet.
Obviously trying to fold out better, but I'm not sure he would have done this had he known how strong Underwood really is.
Underwood folds, and Oliver shows the bluff.
Nice little shove by Chris Oliver, who apparently was the runner-up in this thing a few years ago. Did you know that?
Yeah, I actually said it at the start of this hand. On the outer tables, we find Michael Phelps involved in a hand against João Santos. Been checked on every street, river included.
Boy, having Michael Phelps here is good for the game. Really good.
Can't even give it an attempt. I can't even try. I can't even try.
That man is a hero and a role model, and he loves poker. Get over it, Mom and Dad. It's not the 50s anymore.
Jason Alexander going to the flop against Josh Bergman. Bergman checks. And Jason will look back at his cards and check behind. Now 2 flush draws out there. A paired board. Bergman checks a second time.
And
you're waiting on me. Did you check? You checked? I'm so sorry. I didn't see your check. I'm sorry.
You can stuff your sorries in a sack, mister.
Jason bets 2,000 on the turn, and that will win him the pot.
Jason Alexander, way below average. No soup for him.
Back to the feature table. New level of the tournament. The ante is now in play. We're going to sweat with ElkY. We're only going to see his hole cards here. He's facing an under-the-gun raise from Marco Caicedo. He's made it 450.
Caicedo raising this time. Guy really knows how to mix up his play.
ElkY flats with 8s.
Hey, you want to sweat with ElkY, you got to be a little cocky. Flatting is just fine. There's a lot of folks still to act behind us.
Well, they all pass, so we are going heads up to the flop.
All right, let's get a move on. ElkY's got to get back to the Top Gun base.
A 10-high flop, just 1 overcard to ElkY's pair. A very quick C-bet from Caicedo.
I think we pretty much have to peel at least once. He could be just continuing to continue. And with only 1 overcard out there, he's not supposed to have hit.
7 on the turn. ElkY now with an up and down draw to go with his pair.
Well, we're not folding now.
Caicedo does bet again, 2,500.
Call, call, call. We call.
He does call.
It was an under-the-gun raise originally, so you'd expect his range to be a lot of paint and big aces.
2 of spades on the river. And looks like Caicedo wants to empty the clip. He bets 3,500 on the river.
Okay, soul read time. This fella seems a little inexperienced, and inexperienced players tend to bet small when they're value betting and big when they're bluffing.
ElkY folds. And Caicedo had ace-10 for top pair.
ElkY played it just right, but boy is it frustrating when you can't catch a break.
A very frustrating day for ElkY. And not a great start to this tournament for the defending champion.
Let's catch up with 2012 main event winner John DeBella. He has less than 20,000 in chips at the moment.
Mr. The Bella. Sorry, I was translating his name.
And we've lost one of the biggest names in the game, Vanessa Phelps, Busto.
Picked the wrong end of the Phelps last longer.
Over to the secondary feature table, Daniel Negreanu facing a bet on the flop from Chris Oliver.
What are the odds I fold a flop like that? Just saying, right? It's like such a... My folding percentage here is like 12%.
Middle suited cards are right in Daniel's wheelhouse.
There's a raise from Bruno Pereira. Top two pair gets a fold from Chris Oliver.
I like the raise, especially once Daniel announces he's not folding.
Daniel calls in position.
Also, if he sizes it right, he can then bet turn and shove river.
Three of spades on the turn. Daniel now with a flush draw to go with his straight draw. Pereira continues, 5,500. Daniel calls.
Setting up that river shove.
Five of spades on the river. There's the flush for Daniel. Pereira now checks.
Definitely not a river Pereira wanted to shove on. Everything in the world just got there.
Instead, it's Negreanu who does the shoving. All in for 37,000.
I don't know how often Daniel's doing this as a bluff, but I think the shove makes it look as bluffy as possible.
Big set.
Something like that, yeah.
Two pairs, something like that.
I don't know if you got me or you already have me.
Or have the 9-10 of spades or something like that.
9-10 of spades?
If I could have that.
Oh, you can.
And make a flush on the end. It's possible. Or 9-10 diamonds, which would be a bluff, or 9-10 spades, which has it. One of the two. It's one of those two hands. 9-10 of diamonds or 9-10 of spades.
Oh, Daniel, when will you ever learn?
With a stack of 56,500, Negreanu's now one of the 10 biggest stacks in the room. Ivy still the man in front. He's on our feature table, and we are sweating with Phil Ivey on this hand. We will only see his cards. There's an early position raise from ElkY to 400.
We're sweating with Ivy. This ball's so hard, people will try to find us.
Action is on Ivy. Ace-10 offsuit.
I don't think ElkY's horsing around here too much, but Ace-10 has good equity against his range.
Ivy re-raises a 3-bet to 1,300.
Didn't see that coming. Need I remind you of Phil Ivey's baller status?
The blinds fold. Action back on ElkY.
ElkY could just stick it in here.
He calls.
ElkY just call with his stack leads me to believe he's either got, like, aces or something speculative.
An ace-3-7 flop. Ivy with top pair.
This is a slam dunk continuation value bet.
And ElkY calls, leaving himself less than 5,000 behind.
Yeah, Phil. Weird, right?
5 of diamonds on the turn. 3 cards to a flush out there now. ElkY checks a second time. Ivy checks behind.
We'll take the free card.
9 of hearts.
27.
27.
ElkY leads the river for half his stack.
TBH, I really think ElkY's just floating the flop a lot, and him betting half his stack here looks so strong, he might be trying to bluff us.
Oh.
Ivy calls and ElkY shows ace-jack, top pair, better kicker.
Whoops. You know what, though? Phil Ivey don't care. Well played, ElkY. Well played.
Still got less than 14,000. Still way below average. Or from one former champion to another, John DeBella facing an all-in from Fabian Quas. And he calls. Quas shows 2 pair. DeBella, a flush draw. The turn gives him an up and down draw as well.
A lot of outs.
But DeBella bricks the river.
So many outs. Wow. 9, 17 outs on the river I got.
Now you're just saying numbers.
So we lose the reigning champion. No title defense for John DeBella here at PCA 10.
I know how hard it is. It didn't hit me last year until I got on the plane what really happened. This year I knew it was a long shot to ever hit this thing twice again, but whoever wins it, it's gonna change their lives. It's a great thing.
If you want to play in an EPT event, go to PokerStars.com, where there are qualifiers every day.
There's jet skiing.
No.
Parasailing.
No.
Scuba diving.
No.
Snorkeling.
No.
Whale watching.
No.
Shark jacking.
What is that?
It's not what you think. It's when a bunch of us get together and all ride a shark.
Not what I thought it was, which is good, but no.
Okay, here's one. How about we stay in our hotel rooms and watch black and white
French movies with subtitles.
Winner.
In 10 years of competition here in the Bahamas, no one has ever defended their title at the PokerStars.com PCA main event. And before the break, reigning champion John DeBella continued that trend as he bowed out. And he's been swiftly followed by the tournament's youngest winner, Harrison Gimbel, who took $2.2 million back in 2010. And still to check in, Phil Hellmuth. His scheduled arrival time of 5 p.m. came and went long ago. His chips are here, though, as Liv Barry confirms.
I think whoever invented the phrase chip in a chair clearly didn't think out all the eventualities. We'll check back in with this chair later.
Back to our feature table, the ElkY Ivy table. Action's on Phil.
500.
Under the gun, he picks up aces and he raises to 500.
Ivy's so baller, he hates aces. Too easy.
King Queen for last year's finalist David Berstein. And he raises a 3-bet to 1,300.
Against an under-the-gun raiser, I like folding more than I like calling. I hadn't thought of 3-betting. It's repping huge strength.
So much strength that Simon Charette folded ace-queen there.
Yeah, ace-queen is like an insta-fold after under-the-gun +1 start clicking buttons.
Call.
Helio Cream calls in the big blind with 9s.
Cold calling's really tempting there, but I think it sucks when Ivy 4-bets you, which he's gonna do a lot, and it's pretty possible right now.
Ivy does 4-bet, makes it 5,500 total. Berstein gives it up.
Action back on the guy whose name is somehow a mashup of Chino Ream. Ivy's giving him a pretty bad price. Folding's totally cool.
Ivy takes it down with a pre-flop 4-bet.
Everyone was repping so huge, Ivy accidentally chased him out.
Nice sandwich up.
That's not red. What do you have?
The odds are I'm going to miss it.
I folded jacks.
5 in a row.
No, you did not.
Yeah, I did.
No, you did not.
Baller.
That's a lie.
You didn't even think about saying no, you didn't there.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about it.
That's a lie, my friend.
Baller.
See, it's funny. You know we're on TV, right? You shouldn't like.
No, he said it's not on TV. He said it's not on TV.
Well, eventually it will be. He's kidding.
Now I know
kidding.
you're lying. Thank you.
Confirmed.
That was a good bluff.
Baller.
To the outer tables. Why Michael Phelps is in action once again. 3-way pot, and Phelps bets 7,000.
You know what I like about Phelps' bet? Didn't splash the pot. Come on!
You got a fold from Schiffbauer. Srinivasan will call.
Fairly wet board.
6 on the river. Phelps bets again, 10,000.
Betting like he's got it. Not that many draws came in on that river.
Gets a fold.
Phelps is the swimmer, but Srinivasan is the one who ends up all wet. I'm drowning here.
Phelps up to nearly 50,000. Across the room, we find Jason Alexander facing a bet of 3,275 from Josh Bergman. Jason shoves.
He thought the action was on Art Vandelay.
A fold from Magnus Sellen and a fold from Bergman.
Jason Alexander is the master of his domain. It's my favorite show of all time. I've got more.
Still significantly below average. Back at the feature table, the blinds are up 150-300 with a 25 ante now. Action's been folded to ElkY on the button. Jack 10 suited, he's raising. 600 total.
Call.
A call from Cream with King 7 off.
That call makes me want to scream.
Ivy with Queen 6 suited in the big will re-raise. It's a 3-bet to 2,100.
Baller. ElkY's got a great hand to just call and play a flop in position, even though Ivy's got his spades nutted.
ElkY does call.
It's time for Helio to make like centricity and careen those cards directly into the sun.
He folds. So heads up to the flop. 4, 5, 8.
Ivy flops a gut shot. ElkY missed like the deserts missed the rain.
Ivy continues for 3,000, and ElkY will give it up.
Tough for ElkY to call on that board.
Ivy now up to over 110,000. Still the chip leader on day 1B. Other names in the top 10 include Victor Ramden and Christoph de Mulder from Team Pro. At our secondary feature table, Chris Oliver with no hand. That's 3,800 on the turn. Negreanu with kings calls.
Firing stone dead.
Well, from Negreanu's perspective, a few draws get there on the river.
Not really a super run out for kings.
Oliver will bluff.
That's a good bet. I don't know what I'm going to do, though.
I think this is a good bet, but we all know Daniel calls more often than a telemarketer.
Man, that was quick. I took like 35, 40 seconds.
Floor on 51.
I don't even think I took 45 seconds. I'd like to actually ask the floor if that's legal. Because part of it has to be an unreasonable amount of time. Huh?
Floor on 51.
Well, that's fine. Don't worry. I'm going to be done in a minute anyway. But that was less than a minute.
I just have to go through with the motion.
It's all right.
That was weak sauce, bro.
Daniel calls.
Huh?
Nice.
I'll tell you something. You were right on something.
What's that?
Same thing you said before that you've done. You called clock to get a fold. You've done the exact same thing right now.
Oh, he does reverse, reverse.
And you just,
reverse.
that thing you mentioned about 3 hands in a row, just did the exact same
I was
thing.
actually going to probably call anyway, but...
Way to put it together, Clouseau.
To the outer tables, let's check back in on Michael Phelps. He's raised Dylan Horton's flop bet.
It's probably the best day of Dylan Horton's whole life.
And Horton will call. The turn brings the jack of clubs. Potential flush draw just got there. Action goes check, check. Ace of hearts on the river. Horton bets 5,000.
Calls the check raise and fires the river. Looks pretty strong to me. Oh, that explains that Michael Phelps is an alien.
I think that was his phone going off. He tables fours. He flops a set. And cracks Horton's kings.
First 2 pots I've won in like
hours.
3 hours. So.
Up to 74,000 in chips. Over to Jason Alexander's table. Facing a pre-flop raise from Magnus Sellen. And he moves all in.
The sea was angry that day, my friends. Like an old man trying to send back soup in a deli.
Queens again.
Sellen folds.
Remember, like the great George Costanza always says, it's not a lie if you believe it.
Jason Alexander survives, but still has a quarter of the tournament average.
Thanks for being on our little show, but we really loved yours.
I got into poker as a social game. It was a great way to socialize with people I was working with in the downtime. I mean, Seinfeld was not a big poker set, although Leo DiCaprio, Tommy McGuire, Ben Affleck, Hank Azaria, these are guys that take the game really seriously, and Don Cheadle. And, if you want to play at their level, you kind of have to know what you're doing, or you're just gonna donate otherwise.
Not sure.
I see no reason, given the competition that's here, that I shouldn't sweep this thing. Sure, anybody can win this game, but there are real skills. There's a lot of guys and girls out there that are far more masterful at applying those skills and far more experienced. So for me to win it means they've really had an awful, awful experience.
The experience couldn't be any more awful than the Seinfeld finale. I kid. The finale was terrible, though.
From one Jason to another.
Well, it's like I always say, if you get it in bad, you can never get sucked out on. Hang in there, little buddy. Buddy.
Staying on the outer tables, we've got this year's Super High Roller champ involved in a hand against a 2010 main event finalist. Siva has bet 3,400, Ryan D'Angelo with the decision.
Oh man, Galva had an epic meltdown at the final table of this event 3 years ago.
What are you doing, Ben?
Not bad.
He folds. Siva wins the pot, and it's hovering just below the tournament average. So blind's currently 200, 400 with a 50 ante. Back to the action at our feature table.
9.
Under the gun raise from Henrik Olberding. ElkY will call.
No reason to get too crazy from that position.
Cream and Ivy are out. Yeah, that's going in the muck.
Woof.
Simon Charette, pocket tens in the cutoff. He calls. Marco Casido with 8-4 suited in the small blind.
He's getting better than 5-1, so yeah.
And Kihu recently joined our feature table.
He's getting almost 9-1.
Will call with the ace-3 suited. It's a 5-way to the flop. ElkY has a set of sevens. 2 players have flush draws.
3 people are going to think they really like their hands. Olberding in for perhaps the biggest disappointment.
Action check to the German, and he bets 2,600. ElkY just calls out of a stack of 12,000.
Trying to get as much action on this hand as possible.
Who's going nowhere?
This guy.
Nut flush draw and an overcard. He calls as well.
Oh, that was a statement, not a question. I'm sorry.
6 of hearts on the turn.
Casido would have made his gut shot, lol. Now ElkY can make these 2 pay to keep drawing.
Action has been checked to him. And ElkY bets a third of his stack, 3,300.
Still a small bet, still meant to generate mass action.
Who calls? And Olberding? How's he feeling about his jack-high flush draw?
He should be less excited than Who is. He is drawing dead.
Comes along for the ride. 9 of diamonds on the river. Who checks? Olberding checks.
ElkY can't really value bet this. Oh.
Don't tell ElkY what he can or can't do. He knows he's ahead. He moves all in for his last 6,000.
Okay, yeah.
2 folds, ship it.
My guess is ElkY probably realized he's never folding, and maybe they wouldn't try to bluff since he had almost nothing left, so he might as well just pile it in himself. Well played.
Well, he's back up to near enough his starting stack, so is this the beginning of ElkY's comeback in his quest for the double? Tag your tweets, PCA 10.
You know, James, there's a lot of hotties out here. I think that one, you see that one over there? I think she's been giving me the eye.
You're such a fantasist.
We got a pickup line that I've been dying to try. Let's see if it works. Hey girl, you tired? Because you've been running through my mind and struggling against the oppressive gender roles we've been socialized into all day.
You are so going home alone tonight, buddy.
She's a man.
Time to stop applying the sunblock at the Atlantis Resort on Paradise Island as the sun sets halfway through day 1B of the PokerStars.com PCA 10 main event. One player who's blocking this tournament out is Phil Hellmuth. Still no sign of him, but his latest tweet does imply that Steve Gross will soon have some company.
He does actually sleep probably more than any other human. He's always sleeping.
He's like a bracelet-winning cat. Jason Mercer either looking for Phil Hellmuth or still wishing he were in the NBA.
On our secondary feature table, Chris Oliver is a little short-stacked, while Daniel Negreanu is in reflective mood.
Wow, of all the movies in the world to quote, Pirates of the Caribbean. Kind of a cerebral choice for Daniel, actually.
Chris Oliver's either wriggling because he doesn't know what to do or because he needs the toilet.
Yeah, well, Daniel should call the clock.
Check. He decides to check. Eric Casulet has flop top set.
Top set on a flushy board. What do? Check and trap, right? Wrong. Trick question. Always bet your sets. Build a pot, you dingus.
Ryan Pignatelli folds. Chris Oliver, with just ace high, will call.
Loose.
10 of clubs on the turn. Oliver checks again. Casulet bets again. 2,700.
Chris Oliver seems to like getting his money, and when he's drawing dead, I'll have to crunch the numbers, but I think that's minus EV in the long run.
He calls again. 5 of spades on the river. Oliver checks. Casulet goes for value, 11,100.
Okay, so the numbers are in, and it turns out, yes, calling while drawing dead is a minus EV play. Ace-Queen will be the best hand here on occasion.
Wow, the hero spew from Oliver.
To be fair, sometimes Chris is going to be right, but I wouldn't recommend this without a strong physical tell. Casulet wins that pot, and we all won 2 tickets to the gun show. Yeah, those are some pythons. Drink it in.
Back to the feature table. Blind still 200, 400. Phil Ivey still the table and tournament boss.
Kind of a life boss.
Simon Charette raising under the gun with pocket fives. Makes it 900 total. Fold it around to ElkY. He passes.
Call.
Helio Cream calls on the button with ace-3 suited. And Ivey has ace-king in the small blind.
Everything has been standard so far. Ivey could go either way with this, raise or call.
He decides just to call. Berstein gives up the big, so we're going three-way to the flop. 4-4 deuce.
Pretty awesome flop for fives.
Action check to Charette, and he continues for 1500.
Call.
Cream calls.
He's got to call. Ace high will be good sometimes, and he's got a gut shot. Backdoor spades, got to do it.
And Ivey calls with the ace-king. The turn, the 3 of clubs. Charette's now up and down and still ahead with a pair of fives.
And no overcards out there.
4,000.
He bets again, 4,000. Well, Cream now has a pair.
Better if that were a spade on the turn.
He gets out of the way.
Ivey may be thinking about calling because he's got the nut-nothing and a gut shot.
He does call.
He'll be winning sometimes, but not that often.
9 on the river.
Overcard finally hits, but it's kind of a brick.
Check, check. And Charette shows the fives for the win.
Once Charette gets called on the turn, I think he expects to be losing a fair amount. He should be pleasantly surprised, though.
Yeah, he happy.
He looks pretty pleased with himself. Uh-oh. He saw you. I pity the fool.
To the outer tables we go. Michael Phelps in action once again against Melanie Weisner. She checks the turn, and he bets 3,100.
Less than a third of the pot. Phelps 3-bet this pot before the flop, also bet the flop.
6 of clubs on the river completes a potential flush. Melanie checks, Michael bets 6,000.
This is 3 streets of betting from Phelps, and a bunch of draws came in.
She calls.
Small bet.
A set of deuces for Phelps. And Melanie mucks.
You could have gotten a lot more.
Nice needle.
So Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian of all time, staying afloat in the PCA main event.
When I first started, I wanted to be the best. You know, I went 5 years straight without missing a single day of workout. I spent 20 years in a pool, and everything that I've ever set my mind to, I did. And I wanted to become the greatest swimmer of all time. And I've done that. How I got into poker was I guess it was a way for me outside of the pool to sort of get my mind off of everything and relax and have fun. And I've been able to learn from some of the greats. You know, Antonio is a great friend of mine, and you know, just being able to talk about hand histories and sort of bet sizing is something that we do occasionally, but the biggest thing that drives me to play poker is just, I mean, obviously, like, I want to be the best, and there are so many amazing poker players, and especially here at the PCA. You know, but it's just trying different things and seeing if some of your strategies work against theirs. Anything is possible, and if you do put your mind to something and you want something bad enough, you can achieve it.
Just remember, though, you have to want it bad enough to never miss a practice in 5 years.
Once again, it's Phelps v. Melanie, the Wiseman Ace of Weisner.
Your chips, give them to me.
Check, check on the river.
I'm gonna buy.
Check back top pair and a crazy dangerous board for top pair. Pretty good.
It's like 4 sets. It's another set. It's another set. It's fine.
I want to make a joke about how lucky this guy's life is, but honestly, it doesn't sound like luck. Work hard, get good at something, get paid.
Let's head across the room because Jason Alexander is all in, and his nines have run into the kings of Rokas Kalminskas.
No, this was supposed to be the summer of George. Jason Alexander stacked.
Thank you. Good luck, gentlemen.
A victim of shrinkage. Jason, I just want you to know it's not you, it's me. And you want to be my latex salesman.
Well, Looks like we've lost the other Jason as well. Mercier heading for the door.
See you, Rob.
What is happening to the Jasons? Do we have word on Kuhn, Lavallee, Somerville? Anyone? This is the worst thing that happened to two Jasons since Friday the 13th, Part 3.
Wow, Stapleton, good knowledge of abysmal sequels.
Yeah, not like PCA 10, best sequel ever.
Second best after Godfather 2. Back to the feature table. ElkY, ace-9 in the hijack, raises, makes it 800. Phil Ivey on the button. It's 5-6 suited, he calls. The blinds, both fold. Players stepping away from the table. This is the last hand of the level. King, queen, queen flop. Ace high still good. ElkY checks. Ivey checks behind. Third queen on the turn.
Ace high still good.
Phil's going to take a stab at it. Bets 1,500. ElkY calls. And the river is an ace.
River's the boat.
ElkY checks again, and Phil will check behind.
I'm 6 high.
ElkY tries to turn his hand into a bluff catcher, but instead just annoys Phil by making him show his hand and holding up his break. Sorry, Phil.
So ElkY survives the first half of day 1B. This has been a great session for Phil Ivey, still at the top of the tournament leaderboard. Also in the top 5, Kars Mortensen, the 2001 World Series of Poker main event champion, and Victor Ramdin from Team Pro. It's mealtime. The players off to get some dinner.
I want a hot dog. I want a ham. No, I want a cheeseburger.
You'll have nothing unlike it. You know what Michael Phelps wants? More chips.
I know what Daniel wants. More chips and no meat or dairy products. Maybe some soy, some seitan. I also know what Phil Ivey wants.
Sauce. He's off to a great start in this tournament, but next time it's all about another Phil. As the Poker Brat makes his PCA main event debut.
Hallelujah! It's a miracle. Never leave a great player alive. You understand?
This is the coolest thing ever.
Awesome.
Shake the poker world, stun it a little bit.
I am a big fan of the 2-day mega event. I think that would be fantastic. Because, you know, most poker players come in from all over the world. They're jet lagged. I say, literally start the event at the airport. They're tired, they don't know where they are, they're disoriented. I, however, being clean living and in superb shape, have the stamina to take them all down in 48 hours. But you gotta do it in 48 hours. PCA just never listens to me, I don't know what that is.